Well, fortunately, this is about as boring as it gets here in my little shed. Um, I'm a real converted lover of MX-5s, but this one belongs to a friend of mine, Aaron, and yeah, Aaron really likes MX-5s. I think this is his second or third one so far. This one sort of came with a ND SE motor, so that's 1.8 non-VVT turbo, and sort of was just sort of put in there by someone. It's got management now. It's got Adaptronic management. So Aaron was sort of cruising down to one of our southwestern sort of holiday getaway places down here in Western Australia, and sort of was on the gun a little bit and backed off, and then heard rattling noises. Those rattling noises kind of sound like this. Yeah, he came to me thinking that we were going to be replacing the lifters, because these particular motors in these have some lifter age problem, like with most hydraulic lifters, really, to be honest. So we sort of opened it up. I couldn't really find anything wrong with it initially, and then when we took the cams out, we discovered it already had solid lifter conversion done. So that sort of started ringing the alarm bells, and I was kind of thinking, well, this is not going to be good. So put the old stick scope on it, and yeah, couldn't find anything really wrong with the head. Did some measurements of the valve lash and stuff. The exhaust was a bit excessive, but nothing that was sort of making those kind of noises. It was pretty bad. It was pretty dire. It sounded like bottom end was going. So yeah, with the old stick scope, we just sort of investigated it further, and all the noise was coming from around the top end of the motor, but only in the block. Like, there was no real noise like from the head. So all the noise that you just heard was concentrated sort of in the top of the block. So sort of made the executive decision, forced him to crack it open, and yeah, what we actually found was this. So they're not usually meant to be like that. They're meant to be straight up and down. So the cause of that actual noise was usually the piston will float on this rod a little bit, but because it was bent this way, it was pushing the piston to the side of the cylinder wall, and when it was coming down, the piston wasn't able to float in the cylinder, and it was like knocking the side of the bore. So yeah, that one's cactus. So we're going to need some new ones of those. So yeah, it's sitting here currently. We're going through the build process at the moment, just sort of document this little venture, because Aaron's new to it. So I'm explaining a lot of stuff to him as we go. All we're going to really do is improve what's there. Every motor, every factory motor, every factory sort of setup is punched out. It's to $1, so there's going to be some downfalls. So all we're going to do is working at improving what's there, making it more efficient, just making it so it's going to live a bit longer. Alright, so start off with the main bearings. Now you want to identify which bearing goes where. It's quite important. See, there's two types of bearing. One will have an oil hole in it. That's for the bit with the oil hole. Now, the other side is for the lower side. Now, a lot of people will just put this in, bang it in, but there's actually like a bit of a trick to it. So, if you get the bearing, you'll notice there's a tab on there. That fits into this slot. If you get the bearing and slightly squeeze it, like that, it'll press in really nice. Now, what we don't want to do, if you don't want to get the bearing, we don't want to just push it in there, because what it'll do will drag on this back end and it will damage the bearing. So if we put that on the corner, yeah, let's move it around so it's the right position. Now we want to install the studs. The studs will have hex drive in them. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, get the fuck out. This is a very low torque driver. You're meant to install these by hand, but this driver is so low torque that it can't even overpower my hand, and I'm not strong at all. Just want to take away all the bits.